Welcome into Press Box Live. I'm Stan the Fan Charles. I'm here with Luke Jackson and Ross Grimsley. As you can see, I'm in a remote location right now. I was up for a family wedding in Connecticut. And Ross and Luke, I've got my first one under my belt. I'm now an officiant. I officiated my first wedding.
You're an ordained minister?
Jane, my wife Jane, went online and got me some type of ministry. It's non-denominational, but I have the power. Like if you and Bird want to get married again, I could do it.
Oh, well, we'll look that up and see if we can work that out somehow.
All right, all right.
That
I work.
give us a reason to come to Baltimore.
I work for food. I work for food.
We can
My
help you
bro-
out
my
there.
brother used to my brother used to say to people, panhandlers that had signs, "I work for food." He goes, "You don't think I do too?" Anyway, that's how empathetic my brother is. Anyway, I'm Stan the Fan. Ross Grimsley's with us. Luke Jackson. Let's get on with the business and remind you that the Costas Inn brings you these Zoom videos, and it looks like Thursday or Friday of this week, if they get through the inspection from the health department, they think they'll be open in Timonium. All right. But for now, don't forget they're at 4100 North Point Boulevard. Been there for 53 years. So don't forget that. And steamed crabs abound at the original location. They will not be served at the new location. Crab cakes, crab soup will be served at the new location along with the great Costas menu. Let's talk some baseball and the O's. And Ross, I start with you mainly because you're on the screen on my phone, not both of you. So I'll go back and forth between the two of you. 10 and 17 at this point. It's gotten ugly very quick, and there's not one part of the team that's beyond blame.
Right.
You've got there's a ton of people out there want to fire Brandon Hyde. There's a cast of people now that are starting to get on Mike Elias. The players have not nearly performed up to snuff.
Mhm.
Is this season dangerously close, Ross, to being over for the Orioles in terms of, I mean, it's not going to be over, unfortunately, for about 140, 135 more games, but is it dangerously close to being over that they're done as far as playoff contention?
I don't think so. I mean, a lot of bad things are happening now. Everybody, is playing poorly,
Mm-hmm.
with the exception of a couple. But your young homegrown hitters what they're doing is just they actually took up where they picked off up from last year in July, and that's kind of sad. But you look back and you see the Orioles got some new coaches in. They got
Yep.
a new medical staff. Uh, Somewhere I said saw they had new advanced scouting. I didn't even know they were using that, or even a lot of teams don't. They just use videos. But you make a lot of changes, and that has not panned out. And now some of these guys are going through some difficult times. How do you get out of it? Are there people there that can understand what they're going through? I don't know. I don't know. Have they been at the big league level? Have they been through this type of thing before? That's a question right there. But as far as them being out of it, no. Time to panic. I don't think panic is the word. I mean, there's a lot of things going on that I think could possibly be fixed, but they knew the pitching was not, the starting staff was not going to be uh, probably as good as they would hoped, and they didn't do anything about it. So I think is it over right now? No, I think give it a little bit longer, and you don't see a lot of bright spots on the horizon to come in and save it. So, but you
Well,
just hope that they can keep it together, and maybe something will happen.
Luke, along those lines, the big news that you've given me is that been announced that tomorrow night's starter, Tuesday night at Camden Yards, the starting pitcher will be none other than Kyle Gibson.
Yeah, and hopefully Gibson can give them a real dose of what they need, which is strike throwing and innings. Ross and I were talking before we came on the air that I think the Orioles walk something around 20 guys this weekend in Detroit in the 3 games in 2 days. That's not going to get it done. And Ross has been harping on that these guys are not aggressive enough with their fastball. And they just simply aren't getting ahead in the count with their fastball to get to their other stuff. And you saw that time and time again in Detroit this weekend. It was really frustrating to watch. There's no question about it. Gibson hopefully is going to miss more bats than Sugano, but he sort of pitches similarly in the sense that they're going to try to stay off the barrel. They're going to try to stay off the sweet spot. And when they miss, they want to miss off the plate. They don't want to miss in the middle of the plate because they don't have the stuff anymore in order to do that. So everyone knows who Kyle Gibson is, what he's all about. He's a great dude, right, Stan? One of the best
Yeah,
people you've come across in the Orioles.
very smart, very. I got to be honest, as a person, he reminds me very similarly, not quite as soft spoken as Charlie Morton, but both guys are dudes.
Right.
And
And
it's unfortunate the former dude that we're talking about, or the latter dude, Charlie Morton, has just been absolutely beyond miserable. But the hope is that Kyle Gibson can start to give them 20 to 40 good innings over the next 3, 4
they
starts.
desperately need that. And I don't know what this will mean for Morton. They gave him a different look. I think it was only his second regular season relief appearance on
Mhm.
Saturday. Uh, the curveball was better, but the fastball, and Ross had talked about this last week, where he's trying to go to the outside corner to a left-handed hitter. He's missing across the plate into the left-hand hitter's nitro zone, right? That's what happened to Riley Green, and that's what he's done all season, and it's only 6 starts at this point, but he is missing so badly, Ross, with his fastball. He's missing across the plate, and it's hard to, and I don't know if he ever had the velocity to get away with that, but it's not like he's got Paul Skeen's velocity anymore.
Well, not,
or
not a
ever
lot of
did.
people are going to get away with the
Yeah.
ball over the middle of the
Yeah.
plate. And one of the things that, I talk about throwing strikes, Oriole pitchers, when they get 2 strikes on the hitters hit 212. When they're 0-2, they hit 228. 1-2, 221. When they're ahead of opposing hitters, the hitters hit 235. When they're behind, the hitters hit 367. So those little tidbits right there tell you what's going on. And the fact that they have the second fewest strikeouts, they're just not locating and making decent pitches, especially when they're ahead in the count.
Yeah, and the second fewest strikeouts you mentioned. So what does that tell you? Number one, they don't have great stuff as a staff, which isn't
Yeah.
surprising because Kyle Bradish is out and Grayson Rodriguez is out. Those are really your strikeout starters. And we really even haven't seen Felix Bautista that much. And he's your big strikeout guy in the bullpen. And the funny part, remember when we were worrying about Felix Bautista not being able to go for back-to-back save appearances? Well, he's been
Exactly.
allowed to
That
really
hasn't been a
ease in
huge
this
problem.
year.
That hasn't been a huge problem for
The
them.
bullpen has been the bright spot so far with the
Until they started
numbers.
being used too much, right?
Oh, and that's going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
you got some guys. I mean, they got guys they use when they get ahead. They got guys when they use when they get behind.
I
But
mean, it
now
seems
you
like
got to use
Felix
them
and Cano
whenever
are
whoever's ready.
feels like Felix and Cano are pitching like once a week, you
Oh
know. So
yeah,
when they come in, they're really sharp. They're really fresh.
yeah, right. So yeah, it's
I think Cano has thrown like one pitch in the past 10 days or something.
that's you can't let that happen. Yeah, I mean,
And so and hopefully he pitches today because he needs some work.
Let's talk a little bit. Obviously, we've beat the dead horse about this pitching staff, but I do want to close out on pitching with Charlie Morton again. Ross, you've been there at this point in your career, um, and Charlie certainly has had a lengthy, worthy career of he's a solid major league pitcher. Do you see anything they can do? Would a trumped up stint on the IL where they have to send him down for rehab, if there really is something, do you see any hope that he could straighten something out to be more respectable for a couple of months this summer?
I tell you, you wish you could see something, but got guys that throw at that velocity and miss the plate and miss pitches and not able to locate. especially their fastball. That's
Yeah.
his big thing. You have to look. All pitchers do, but he's not doing that, and he's missing off the plate. First thing you think of is there an arm problem or some type of injury that he might have that he's trying to hide or whatever. But yeah, it's I mean, there's things you can try with them, but I mean, again, putting him on the IL, sending him to a rehab somewhere is a possibility. But I don't think it's that. I just think this guy's 18 years, a lot of innings. He just might be out of juice, and that
Yeah.
happens unfortunately. And just like we were talking about before, being there, you don't want to admit it to yourself. You're going to keep going out and busting your butt, but after a while,
Is the
you're hurting the team, and it's just not working.
is the giveaway Ross the walks? In other
That
words,
too,
this is a guy who I won't say he was Sagano in his prime, but he had a terrific strikeout to walk ratio
right?
when he was good. And now it's really troubling that they're both hitting him and he's walking people.
Yeah, I've been there. I was there at the end of my career. I know what it's like. Believe me, I know. And if you're and I, I felt good. I just wasn't able to make the pitches. It didn't have the stuff, and after a while, it just beats you up, and you're finally going, well, I'm going to stay out here. You're going to have to tear this uniform off of me, and eventually they do, But yeah, you just wish it happens to the best, and you want to go out on top. And I know it's really tough
Yeah.
to go out every start and just not be able to perform the way you once did. And it's hard to accept. It really is. And you feel like you're letting everybody down. It's a big
Yeah.
year for the Orioles, and it's really tough. And you feel bad for them, but it just might be that time. Father Time comes up and bites you in the butt. It's time to go.
All right. Luke, moving on to the offense, that has not been particularly a bright side of this team either this year so far.
Yeah, yeah, and it's a bad mix of bad luck and underperformance.
Yeah.
And I want to be completely fair to these guys. I think the last I checked, they were third in the league in exit velo, and they were like fifth to last in batting average on balls in play. So there's some bad luck in there, and I want to be completely fair to the guys. But Rutschman hasn't really hit. Henderson has been a slow starter after missing all of camp, which isn't a surprise. Westberg has apparently been banged up and hasn't really hit. Holiday, not totally surprising. He's been better than he was last year, but he hasn't really hit. Heston Kjerstad's been given a long opportunity, hasn't really done a whole lot with it. Tyler O'Neill was brought into.
Aside from his two opening days, the one on the
Yeah,
road and the one in Baltimore,
a
he's
whole
done
lot.
virtually nothing.
Yeah, and he was brought in to crush lefties, hasn't done it. I don't know what it is, but it seems like every right-handed hitter brought in to hit lefties with some track record of hitting lefties just loses that ability once they come to Baltimore. I don't know what's in the water, but they have not been able to field a competitive lineup against a left-handed starter.
Yeah.
And especially with the guys that had banged up yesterday, I don't even know if anyone really had to watch that Tariq Skubal start to know what was
So,
going to happen.
Yeah, well, that's it. That's kind of tough when you get
You talk about an electric lefty, Ross, and not
yes,
to go
no,
off on a
and
tangent.
you're not supposed to hit him.
He's up to 100,
Yeah,
commands the ball to both sides of the plate to both hitters, double plus slider, double plus changeup. Good luck.
yeah. No,
Good
you're not
luck.
supposed to hit him. You
Yeah,
just hope you can
he
stay close, get him out of the game, and hope you can jump on the
yeah.
relievers.
he reminds me a little bit of Mike Hampton when he was at his prime. You know, a
Yeah,
heavy ball,
Mhm.
hard to put into play, hard to barrel up.
ball jumps out of his hand. I mean,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
it
Yeah.
gets on you in a hurry.
And
Yeah.
if you want to have some optimism about Grayson Rodriguez, Tariq Skubal had some injury trouble early in his
Yep.
career with Detroit. They stuck with him, and they're being rewarded.
Yeah. So the Orioles will play the Yankees tonight, tomorrow night, and Wednesday night. So we know that the three starting pitchers are Sagano, Gibson, and Povich.
Mhm.
Boy, would 2 out of 3 by the Orioles really pick up this team mentally a little bit right
Especially
now.
going into an off day
Yeah.
on Thursday, and I believe May doesn't look quite as daunting as April
Yeah.
did. They have faced some good competition in April, um, and May looks like I said a little less daunting. But I think every team, except for maybe Colorado, looks daunting to the Orioles right now.
Yeah. And the White Sox. Although we probably couldn't sweep the White Sox right now, but we could give them a hell of a three
Give them a
game
run
win
for their
Heck of a
money.
streak.
fight. Heck of a run for their money.
I will say one thing. What are the White Sox have won 7 games. Colorado is 4-23. Between the two teams, they only are one win ahead of the Orioles.
That's
All right.
not good.
Hey, let me talk a little bit about the Costas Inn. I've got my phone I'm holding up, so it's hard for me to get both thumbs in, but do you guys have your thumbs up?
Thumbs
They're
up.
here.
Thumbs up.
All right, great. So we got 6 thumbs up for the Costas Inn, and we got the exciting news that in addition to the location of 4100 North Point Boulevard, the old OTB, not the old OTB, the OTB at Timonium Racecourse, the largest in the state, is going to be the new home of the Costas Inn. The only difference is you won't be able to get steamed crabs there, but everything else on the Costas menu, the great specials, Monday through Friday, crab cakes, crab soup, all the pit beef sandwiches and all the pit turkey and all that stuff, fish dishes, chicken dishes, seafood, all there for you at the new Costas Inn opening over the next couple days. We'll keep you informed as soon as we know exactly when they get passed from the health department. The health department comes in and rightly does heavy duty investigation and looks around the place to make sure everything is clean and healthy and ready to go. But they're getting ready, and that place is going to be a looker, and it's going to be a home run for the Costas Inn at Timonium OTB. All right. Now let's get back and wrap things up with the Orioles. Luke, I asked Ross his opinion of whether the season was, after 27 games of 162 season, is the season on the brink. I then alluded to the fact, boy, if we you've at least got competent starters the next 3 days in Sagano tonight, Gibson, and then Povich. Boy, if we could steal 2 out of 3, not asking for a sweep, but it would really pick this club's spirits up.
Yeah, I think they're 1/6 through the season.
Yep.
So, I'm, I mean, the team they just got done playing, Detroit, I mean, they've got much better pitching, or at least they did last year as well. They didn't get going until there were about 6 weeks left in the season. You really don't want to put yourself in that kind of hole where you've got to be the best team in baseball for the final 6 weeks to make the playoffs. So, yes, this would be a good time, Stan, to get moving. And this would be a good time to take 2 out of 3. Um, what I would like to see more than anything is 3 competitive starts this series that gives them a chance to win. They're playing a good offensive club. The Yankees run out 8 or 9 hitters so far that have been pretty good so far this year. So we'll see what happens.
All right. But do you feel the season is on the brink?
I think I just lost you, Stan.
Do you feel the season is on the brink?
Oh, okay, I got you back. All right, sorry about that. I think it could be on the brink if they continue playing this poorly for another week or so. So yes, I think the
They're on the edge of it being on the brink.
yeah, like if they go in this homestand, if they go like 1-5 again, like they just
Yeah,
did homestand, then you start thinking about some other stuff with this team in terms of what they're going to do at the trade deadline.
no question about it. No question about it. Ross, offensively, what do you see with this team right now?
They chase up. The big thing that was talked about before the season started, they were going to take more pitches, go for more walks. They got the second fewest walks in Major League Baseball,
Yep.
so that didn't work. And you start looking at a lot of this stuff, and you go, wait a minute, a lot of things they said they were going to do, they're not doing. So a lot of different changes in the coaching staff, medical, and all these things have have crapped in the wind, basically. We got more injuries. The pitching is, worse than they thought it was going to be. The hitting. I mean, the guys are just, uh, they chase a lot of bad pitches, but a lot of time they put the ball, as Luke said, that they hit the ball, they square it up. And one of the biggest problems in the past, that I saw when I was playing, when I was coaching, guys would be in slumps, but they're hitting the ball hard. The thing is, just keep hitting the ball hard. What happens when they get in trouble? They start trying to make adjustments and start trying to get hits instead of squaring the ball up. You square the ball up, hit it on the nose, you're going to get your hits.
And
But
Ross, I
you go,
imagine that's got to be one of the most challenging things for a hitting coach is when a player is hitting the ball hard, their process is good, their at bats are good, they're getting into hitters counts, and they're just not getting rewarded for it. And
right.
trying to get them to trust the process rather than change things up because the results aren't there.
Well, now they got to understand that with all this talk about exit velocity and launch angle and everything, they're probably getting paid for doing that. So when you go in to negotiate, well, I hit the ball this hard. I got a race going in. I pitched 7 or more innings, give up 2 or less runs, and didn't get any wins 11 times. So that was I got a raise when I went to Baltimore because I go, it's not my fault the big red machine didn't score any runs for me, but that's what happens, hitting wise, and that's something that you got to just keep. You're doing stuff right. They're just going at people, and that's just the way it is. You keep doing it, and you'll get your hits. Same with pitching. You go out there and pitch, and it's not happening so much now. You go out and pitch, you give up a very few amount of runs. You either get a no decision or a loss, but you're doing the thing. You got to keep doing it. Eventually, it will even out, or you'll start getting your wins and start. The team will start winning, and that's they just got to keep doing what they're doing if it's right and if it's good. But the results will come.
Guys, I want to ask you one last question before we go here tonight. The Orioles have sort of adroitly and skillfully avoided any extensions to any players to this point in time. Okay. Luke, I'll start with you. Cedric Mullins is a guy who's, we're not talking $150 million or $300 million. You're probably talking on Cedric Mullins. I'm guessing somewhere in the 3-year, $45 million range, maybe 4 years, $57 million. Do you think something like that could just be a little pickup in that clubhouse? Because I don't know if these players sit there and wonder whether the club wants me here long term, but would it help to see one guy get paid a little bit and committed to?
Well, Ross has been in a clubhouse, so he would know a lot better than me the dynamics of that. But my guess would be no. Like, I'm sure they would be happy for him. And then if the next starter goes out and gets lit up, then we're back to
Right.
square one.
I'm
So
not saying
I mean,
I'm not saying to do it to lift it up,
uh,
but it doesn't Mullins seem like the player right now that we sort of believe that $45 million is not too much of a risk with him for 3 years.
well, if he continues playing like this, then no, it's not
But you
too much
don't,
of a
yeah,
risk.
you can't know that with any player that he's going to
Right, right. I mean,
definitely.
I'm just telling you how they operate and how they
But there were
operate.
people, Luke, there were people, and one of them was Glenn on our station, and he'll
Mhm.
can chide me when I'm wrong on some. He wanted to give Rutschman $300 million like 2 years ago.
Yeah, you
Like,
already made one mistake by passing over Witt. Don't make another mistake.
yeah. So my point is, there's no guarantee whether it's Gunnar Henderson, Rutschman, but you do have to show some commitment to players at a certain point. And I just think that a Mullins contract extension right now might just, again, you're absolutely right. If Charlie Morton's on the mound the next day and he gives up 5 runs in the first inning, any momentum built by that. But does it make sense to start to try and get somebody signed?
I'm gonna
Who's the center fielder of the future for the Orioles?
Well, they drafted Enrique Bradfield. He's hurt right now
Right.
at Double A Bowie or Chesapeake now. I saw him a bunch at Aberdeen. I wasn't a huge fan. He's fast. He's definitely fast. I am not convinced that he's going to be able to hit major league pitching. I think he's going to get the bat knocked out of his hands.
Yeah,
And
I
then
don't think,
they also drafted
So
Van.
again, we're not talking about who's going to be the center fielder for 10
no.
years.
Yeah.
I think Mullins for 3 years at the age of 31 is a pretty darn solid bet, you know.
I think that's
At
a good column for you, Stan.
Yeah, I think you don't have to worry about the other guys. I mean, that they're locked up for another what Henderson, Rutschman, and Holiday. You don't have to mess with them.
Well, Rutschman only has 2 years left
Yeah,
beyond this one. Uh, Henderson has 3 years beyond this one, and Westberg has 4 years beyond this one.
right.
right.
From
And the problem is two of those three are represented by Scott Boras,
as is
and
Jackson Holiday.
the third one has, I got to be honest with you, I won't call him a suspect, but he certainly doesn't look like a 1-1 right now. You know, he doesn't look like the type of guy you'd be talking about some type of 250 or 300 million
So
dollar
yeah, I
deal.
think when they drafted him, they hoped they were getting like their own version of Buster Posey, like a championship
Yep,
catcher. And
yep.
I haven't seen that. Now he's a fine catcher,
Who you talking
representing
about?
Rutschman.
Rutschman. Yeah,
Dutchman.
And so like and it's not his fault that they passed over Witt for him. That's not his fault at all.
Right.
And he's a very good hitter for a catcher. He's gotten unlucky like a lot of them so far this year. He was beat up last year, but you look at his production with the rest of the league's catchers since he got called up in 22, I'm guessing that he's top two or three. And if you thought it's pretty good. But he hasn't been like the franchise changing Buster
yeah.
Posey type I think they thought they were getting.
He appeared to be his first 2 seasons.
Yeah.
It was
And then
really
yep.
it's really into his third season, and then about June 1st last year, it's like the roof caved in. And I don't know, these coaches talk about him like he still gives great at bats. I don't see it right now.
For me, he's went backwards.
Yeah,
He's went backwards definitely in catching and in hitting as well.
yeah,
So there's a guy that you're not going to give him a multi-year contract at hundreds of millions of dollars. Not now. If he does
right,
something from here on out, and you have to at some point, and the
right.
same with Henderson, I would look more towards Henderson than I would probably anybody
Yeah.
to do that, but they don't have to do it now. So why do it? But the thing with Mullins is a guy they wanted to get rid of what a year ago or 2 years
A
ago.
year ago, year and a half ago, we were talking about he looked like he was washed up, but he has
Yeah,
bounced back. He was
he's no,
terrific. He was terrific the last 6, 7 weeks last year,
he
and he's
makes a
been
big difference
terrific
in
the
the
first.
outfield. I mean,
Yeah,
he can flag down balls, and that may be something to look at too.
yeah.
But I mean,
All right.
I think they have some other problems that
Well,
should be addressed.
they've got a lot of problems,
They
but
do.
I think it would also send a message to the fan base, and not be the expensive message it would be with Rutschman or a Henderson right at this point, or a Eflin or something like that. I wanted to extend Eflin uh, 3 weeks ago, and now I'm scared to death about that.
Yeah, I
But
mean
anyway,
Eflin's been on the IL twice already as an Oriole.
yeah,
And he's only been with the team since the last trade deadline.
yeah.
And I mean, he's been very good when he's been on the mound, but geez, he's been on the IL as much as he's been on the mound.
All right, that's gonna wrap it up. Orioles have the 3-game series against the Yankees Monday night tonight, Tuesday night, Wednesday night. Again, it's Will Warren against Tomoyuki Sugano tonight. Tomorrow night, Carlos Rodon versus
Kyle Gibson.
Kyle Gibson, and then on Wednesday night, Cade Povich against Carlos Carrasco, I believe it
That
is.
sounds
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Then Kansas City comes in next weekend. That's it for this week. We'll be back next Monday night for Luke Jackson and Ross Grimsley. I'm Stan the Fan, and we've been brought to you by the Costas Inn. Over and out. Bye for now.